You might think the number one thing people talk about when it comes to moving to Lake Oswego is the lake.
But it's not, it's the schools. And we're right here in front of Lake Oswego High School. In this video, we're getting into everything there is to know about the Lake Oswego Public Schools and what that brings to you, what it's all about. So if that sounds something you want to learn about, you're going to want to watch this video. Here we go. I'm Aaron Cullen, a local real estate agent right here in Lake Oswego in the Portland metro area. This is my wife, Brianna Cullen, and in this video, we're gonna get into everything of the Lake Oswego Public School District. Now, just to give you a little outline, broad strokes of what are the schools, how many schools are there here, just a little under 7,000 students. The population here is about 40,000, and we have 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, plus we have 7 elementary schools. And one of them is World Language Elementary School, which is something really fascinating and interesting, and that's on a lottery system, and that's the 7th elementary school, and that is, they offer Spanish and Mandarin. So if that's something you might be interested in, go ahead and reach out to me. My information's right down there in the description, and I could direct you some more information about that. Now, that being said, all the technical stats and stuff, we're not gonna get too nitty-gritty into the individual schools. We're just going to give you broad strokes on this stuff, and in the description, if you want to get the stats, and that's the stuff that we look at, you can go right down there below in the description. So let's start out with the quality of the school district. Now, the number one reason people want to move to Lake Oswego is because of the schools. So that's why I wanted to make this video to you today, just so you can get a little bit more knowledge on that and a place to jump off from. So the school district here is rated number 1 in the state of Oregon. Number 1, that's pretty amazing. Now, it's always kind of been in the top 3. Right now it's in the top 1. I mean, that's really cool, and that is a major
driver
for the housing prices and why people want to move here to the school district. And we're also seeing, an influx of people moving from out of state to here, and people from in Portland that are wanting to move here for the school district.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of people that are moving from bigger metro areas where it's a big city school district, and maybe a lot of people within a big city would send their kids to a private school, the idea of moving to a town like Lake Oswego where you have excellent public schools right in your community to send your kids to is super appealing. It was really appealing to us when we moved here. I think on the one hand, you get to send your kids to a public school and you have a great sense of the quality. And then everything that goes along with that in terms of the ease. I have friends that live in the Bay Area, in Los Angeles, who, spend a good portion of their life applying to private school and working to get their kids into the right private school, not to mention the expense that's involved with that. And of course, there is an expense involved with sending your kids to the Lake Oswego Public Schools that comes in the form of property taxes.
Yes, and that's another thing that I'd like to bring up to you guys to be aware of. So right now we're in the middle of this giant bond that Lake Oswego has voted into. And not to get too nitty gritty, but it's broken up into 3 phases. We're in the 2nd phase right now. It basically is going to update every single school in this school district. And it's going to be updating everything from science, computer classes, the technology, to safety, playgrounds,
just building quality, retrofitting.
Exactly, and it's actually going to be building as well a couple new buildings. So part of the bonds is also building brand new schools for some of the most outdated buildings, and the other buildings are going to get full updates at different various levels. I'll put a link to the school district down in the description area, and you can go through there and see all the bonds and everything they're doing. But it is a massive overhaul and reinvestment. And the 2nd bond was the one that they passed recently in 2021, and that does raise the property taxes. It's basically 92 cents for every $1,000 of your property. So if you buy $1 million home, you're gonna have an extra about $920 in taxes a year that goes into the school system. And in general, about 50% of our property taxes here go to the schools. So it's a really big amount, and because of the higher price point here, our schools are really well funded. And because of this 3-part series of these bonds, and I think it's around like $500 million, a little under that, with these 3 bonds together. That's putting a lot of money into all of these schools and really updating them, the technology in the classrooms, the safety. And I think all that's going to really translate to student pride. And
excuse us while we duck under this tree.
I think a lot of that's really going to translate to, student pride, taking pride in their schools and all these amazing facilities that they have.
I think one of the things about a community that is so centered on school districts and kids is, then that creates a kind of virtuous cycle in that the community is incredibly family oriented, and it draws people with children into the community who are invested in the school district, invested in other activities for kids, very family friendly. We're in August right now, and it's Wednesday, so tonight in one of the city parks there will be a band playing and families get together to see music played outside. There's movies played outside in the summertime, and a lot of family holiday activities. Having a great school district draws people to a community who want to be there for that family-friendly atmosphere.
And right behind me here, you can see we're at the Lake Oswego High School. Now this is on the north side of the lake, and this is one of their field and football facilities. You can see here.
Takes me back to my high school cheerleading days.
Yeah. You get some students practicing some lacrosse, some soccer. And you can see it's just great facilities here.
It feels like this high school particularly feels like a very all-American, I feel like we're on movie location for Ferris Bueller's Day Off, something like that. It just feels like a very all-American high school setting. I think one potential con people may think of when they think about moving to Lake Oswego and the school district is how much diversity is there here in Lake Oswego. It's a very affluent community, and I think historically has been very privileged in terms of the school district, and hasn't had as much diversity as you would see in Portland, in the public high schools in the Portland proper. So one thing I know that the schools are really focused on over the last few years and have task force committed to is promoting equity, diversity, inclusion, creating more opportunities for students of all backgrounds, all gender, race, LGBTQ, and making sure that there's a sense of belonging, safety, support for all students regardless of their background.
Yeah, and that's something, if you dig deep into the ratings, you might see on a couple of the schools that they might have a little bit lower ratings than some of the other schools here within Lake Oswego. And some of that is a little bit of a ding on the equity rating. And that seems to show up in some of the ratings, and you can dive in there yourself and kind of, and see that. But I know just from talking, one of our neighbors is a teacher. She just was a teacher at the middle school. And just in talking to her about that, I know that's something that they're working on, like you said, on building the equity and having all these programs, and that it's getting better and better. And hopefully in the future, I think that's something just as a society, that we're more aware of and working on.
I think also something that brings hope for me in that regard is that has a lot of the population of Lake Oswego is shifting as people from out of state are moving here, and that brings in more, I think, diversity and fresh perspective to the community. And so my hope is that that will continue to change. But I think it's something that, you and I talked about when we were wanting to move here, that it's important to me that our kids still get a diversity of experiences. And so then we have to take it upon ourselves to give them that it's not just smooth sailing in this very affluent, privileged school district, but that they're getting other opportunities in the city through travel, through volunteerism, all sorts of opportunities like that.
Right. And I think that's something where it goes to, how you parent and how involved the parents are, and just being more exposed to more than just your own, this community, and how much world view you get. All those things really play a part into, making the kids and the student body just more open to different types of people and cultures. And I think that's something that is changing now that we're just seeing, we've been here a little over 3 years. More people, like you said, are moving here from other parts of Portland as well as outside of Portland.
In our cul-de-sac, our next door neighbors on one side are from Spain and on the other side are from Pakistan. So there is that diversity just in our little community. And then I think if you look at the Lake Oswego City Council, that has become much more diverse in recent years. There are a couple of women. There's a director of a local private school who's from Senegal. Daniel Wynn is Asian. So we are, promoting and getting more diversity into Lake Oswego, which is really important to me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something a lot of our clients bring up is, hey, how diverse is it in Lake Oswego? So that's definitely something to be aware of. And I think it, as just from living here, we can see it slowly changing.
Another thing I think is so interesting about living in this community, we have two great friends who both grew up here. We know them separately. They didn't know each other growing up here, but one went to Westridge Elementary, one went to Hallinan Elementary. They both went to Lake Ridge High School, and then they moved away for college and other opportunities. One went to medical school, one went to architecture school in New York City. And then in the last few years, as they've had children of their own, they have kids our daughter's age, they moved back here with their families and are really excited to raise their own family here, send their own kids to this public school system. And to me, that says a lot about a small town that, people have the opportunities to move away, go to school, pursue work opportunities other places. And then when it comes time to have their own kids, they come back.
Yeah, to me, that speaks volume. And like I said, this school district is #1 in the state. It also ranks in the top 3% in the nation for the high schools. I mean, it's in the top 3%. That's pretty amazing. And to have this available to you in the public school district, I think is just really neat. And then you bring into it that small town feel that you also get here, and bumping into people that and so many different activities that the city organizes. I think all those things really add to this community involvement that really shows up in the schools as well. And I'm personally really excited for when our daughter starts in the elementary school. She's in preschool right now, but she'll be starting pretty soon in the elementary school system. And I think that's just, pretty neat from all the other parents that I talk to and from what I've seen.
We'll be able to walk her to kindergarten. I think we're really looking forward to walking her down the street. So as we're walking through here, some of these signs say always a Laker. So it's Lake Oswego High School Lakers. I don't know, there's something about that like my high school spirit sort of perks up. Once a Laker, always a Laker.
Yeah. So wrap this up. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you. If you're thinking about moving to Lake Oswego or anywhere else in the Portland metro area. See you guys on the next one. Bye.